Specifically, the Thrifty had a few decent approaches over the course of this. Specifically, the Thrifty was nice to see due to the fact that it obviously cost the ult, right? That was Viper's Pit being used, and it didn't even look like it could be won by a second. I don't know how Angel has done that. Probably has too much Viper experience. But nevertheless, it's still something that is so enjoyable to see that Acend is handling them well, and that's the thing that I enjoy so much about this. It's not one of those shaky scenarios. Acend seem to really have made their homework in the past. It's their pick, though. This is one of the crucial things we have to point out. It is their decision to play this map.
Yeah, FPX have had some pretty good results on it as of late, but really, Icebox is their map of choice for the most part. Of course, the map pool, at least the first two, really suit the playstyle of both these teams. They have that aggression, that technical ability, but it's all about the mind games. And Zeke, the newest addition to this Acend lineup, able to break on through. Zipan is going to try and peek and out-duel him. It's Clay Pigeon shooting for Zipan, but he's only able to get 2.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say at that point in time, you might just try to come in here as the Zeke Airlines, but no chance. Air traffic control is working fine. And again, control is in the hands of Acend. No reason to overcommit at that point in time, and you see how passive they play. Specifically, as Keelah still has both of his snake bites, a plant, more likely the fuse, that's the right way around, should be basically impossible. And they retreat. The only logical thing on the side of FPX. And the speed we just saw, the way they exited over guard and over on Belong, that seems to sometimes create a chaos that ascends over on the side, and FPX just have no reply to that.
No reply at all. I love the way that Acend has been playing. I won't name the coach, but very early on, I think it was roughly around the time that Sentinels were in Europe, because obviously Scrimbucks was a big common conversation, wasn't it? With them said, oh, we're beating everybody, and G2 was like, excuse me? But I remember talking to one of the coaches saying Acend right now, after all of this little roster mania happening with G2 and Heretics, are looking really, really solid.
Yes.
And, you know, Scrimbucks, not really that good when it comes to current currency. But I think you look at Acend, how they've been playing, not dropping a map since Zeke has come into the team. It really is, the copium and hopium is going up for them. But honestly, these are my two favorite teams. Seeing them get this far at least is a treat, considering how wishy-washy they've been in the past. And double elimination is going to save them from elimination today at least. But whoever wins qualifies. And Shadow just manages to get out.
That's absolutely absurd. Zeke is still not hitting his pack according to plan. And that's the speed, but the Molotov's working fine. Slipping down to 16, but nevertheless, control should be coming in. Xiao with the right dart at that point in time, and it's only 2 remaining. But obviously, one of the two, they've seen that. Mentioned previously, he's not playing his classic duelist. That doesn't make him any less lethal, though, as he slows them down. No opportunity to enter over there from CT directly on the side. He has been tagged. Unfortunate for him, but still, Kiles is on it. The duo seems to once more prevail, or at least this is what it looks like. If they pretty much build up the wall, no access granted, no trespassing allowed, and the bouncer's not letting you in for that point in time. He can pop ahead. Doesn't matter which agent. Xiao is still on it, but the retake, it's consuming so much time at that point. Kiles is being dinged. Xiao is still on it. He's taking him out, and if there was actually a need to peek, I'm not quite sure, but he's still gonna have milliseconds to get that one, and he does get it. He does. How much? Less than a second. God damn it.
Oh, I like the idea, though. Whoever it was left from Acend, trying to peek as the recon doubt was coming in. Such key utility for Xiao to play off of.
Player standing.
He holds his nerve, peeks onto CNED, who played really well. I love the wall in elbow just to stop this sort of pinch coming in, but Keeles, he's down and out here. He just tries to make it work. He probably assumes that Xiao doesn't have time and he doesn't go for it, but 0.73 seconds left on the clock. A nice retake, but to be honest, I don't think that's a retake that FPX should be winning. Acend,
no.
They were a bit over egregious holding down onto CT, and you don't really want to take duels against Xiao, to be honest.
Under no circumstance you want to. I'm fully with you on that one. It felt like that was maybe the slightest sign of being nervous there on Keeles. You know, peeking there just didn't seem necessary, but it's always so easy to say from our perspective. So it was still a very tight round. And Acend definitely in the driver's seat for now, taking something along the lines of 8 or 9. This is where they might just pick up a victory over here in Lions.
Cage trigger.
Dimisic lurking. Bit of utility to try and out him from this position. It's going to be a pain, and he's constantly being a pain in that spot. But Zeke, trying to dodge the orbital strike, manages to get out. Unfortunately, his teammate Keyless stuck in a bit of a bind. Now Shout doesn't have that recon dart available, has to wait about 25 seconds now, and the Seekers is going to break this wall. That's actually a nice little bit of tech to at least create a bit of space overall, but CNED's position not giving up, but Zipan's there to hunt him down.
And they get nothing really to deny that. I mean, Bone Cold surely would have a Molotov, but there's nothing else really that can be done, except obviously Starkster swinging wide. The defuse is still going on. Starkster tries to retreat, but there's no opportunity for him. And that means it's FPX who might just bounce back and get themselves a 6-2-6. Acend yesterday against Rix have already experienced a tie when going back into the halftime break. But once they swapped sides, absolute dominance has been shown. So far, still a decent performance.
Yeah, good response is something that you really want to see out of this FPX team. The loss against Guild was a concerning one, but it was a map that FPX actually struggled on their defense on for the most part. They were 9-3 up at the half after attacking, and then they sort of let Guild back into it a little bit. And that was the pick of FPX. I wanted to play that map too, so just kind of work out in their favor. It's a much better, more consistent look of, I'd say, a much tougher opponent in Acend. And they're really giving it as good as they get. They aren't bullied about this very aggressive, punchy nature of Acend, and they're going for peaks like that. The showstopper is going to come in from Zeke. He slips and slides around and catches the IGL of Angel.
Yeah, and the slip and slide pretty much got the attention of everybody back on B. This is where they try to capitalize on everybody paying attention to Zeke. That worked off brilliantly. Well, another round that seems impossible, another round that could be a retake done by Xiao. I'm really having a deja vu at this point, right? I think we saw this already. I'm not quite sure if this round has already happened. Might we just be caught in the simulation? But nevertheless, Zeke's falling down.
They don't have the Sage Wall this time, no, so this is where Dimisic's going to try and press from. The Eldron is going to shut at the site's pretty clear, so they're going to know it's either Hookah or A lobby.
And look at that, Dimisic is still taking a very long swing, and Starkster knows about him. He's somewhat trapped. Easy pre-fire. Dimicic's not even having a problem. We're talking about a 4 versus 2 that might be just thrown away, but as I say that, Xiao is the last man standing for the left-hand side. Bone Cold is just appearing, sneaking into the picture, and finding himself around. Well, it might be that 8-4, and this is just the direction you want to see from this team, considering that they're switching over to the defense side, where they might just easily prevail due to the setup they have. Great stalling abilities in their hands. It might be just working off of that once they gain the pistol, but that is obviously the crystal ball.
I really do like this composition for Acend. It isn't the Fnatic style that most people run, to the point where Fnatic don't even want to run it anymore. It's got old, it's mainstream. They were playing Viper before it was cool. But the composition for Acend just does so many crazy ultimates. A couple could come online in the last round of this half. Certainly that orbital strike for Bone Cold creates a lot of space. And in areas like Elbow and Lamps, I'll be able to clear some of the ratty FPX holds. And there's the orbital strike clearing up the back of the A site. And here comes the execution.
Well, you see the flames that is coming down to the side. Xiao is pretty much also giving the flames to Starkster and CNED. They don't really prevail in that fight. But the control
Cage triggered.
to the side belongs to no one really yet. Spike's going down, that's for sure. Keyless assisting his teammate right there, but it might be just, well, that annoying Tasmanian Tiger getting some of you. Being stunned at that point in time is very uncomfortable. You know where Shadow is, though, and this means only 2 can make a job work. Make it 1, actually. He's trying his best, but there will hardly be any chance that he's turning this one around. It would be a clutch by the book, but it's a half by the book. Coming in from Acend, 8th round secured, and I think not too many expected such a promising and strong haul from the side of the Acend guys here.
And on the same side, I'm not too upset at FPX either. I think that they really struggle to face up against Acend. It's a very bullying playstyle because Acend want FPX to try and play in close, play in areas like showers, but for a bit of scrap in there or B lobby. Now FPX, Their attacking rounds are pretty good, which might seem quite confusing considering they don't have a raise to open up a site, which is what I think Zeke did a terrific job on. But this is where I'd like to see Shadow rise up a bit. Bottom fragging for his team, I still think. And when you look at the impact and effect that Starzo's had on Acend on their attacking rounds, I really want Shadow to be able to try and mimic that in kind.
And as we just saw, Sippin doing his classic daily bunny hop training. A very clear tendency towards bathroom. That seems to be the case, and CNED is absolutely not into it. They just very much are aware of what's coming. Tasmanian Tiger's like, come on, let me off the leash, let me go, but it's not happening. Angelo finds Keyless in the process. That wall has given them an opportunity to place their cam. Information now might have been gained, but CNED is back on Lambs, and sneaky he stays, waits for anyone to show himself too wide, but he's shooting a little early. Starkso coming in though. It's the flashbang that is going to deny the plan. And Starkso goes on. The piss round seems to belong him. CNED is stealing a frack. It could have been his ace, but it doesn't even matter. Acend should have never had this. Shao could be once more the clutch minister taking this one away, but he needs to be just there with an iron-fisted performance, not relinquishing once, and that should be impossible. 45 points of health, a few body shots, and he's just down in the grave, but he's still taking his time. A real dart could just give him a little bit of information if he even wants to use that, but he seems to wait patiently for a mistake that should come out of the side of Acend. It's still not there. CNED is not going to lose his life. Starkso's here with the quad. I mean, this guy's just built differently.
He swoops in to stop the plan. Looks like Acend really don't want to play these retakes up against FPX. You look at the no duelist composition for FPX. There's a lot of stolen utility. A lot of utility to break, but I do like the CNED wall right at the start. Obviously, we saw Acend being able to execute very quickly out of showers. FPX don't have a Sage on their team. It could have been really useful to stop that. It breaks the tempo of FPX. And whilst Angel finds an opening, there's plenty of time for Acend to rotate from B to A, knowing it's going to be an A hit, and even stop the plan. Really nice work for CNED, even though he's not the one that gets all the kills.
Absolutely. Well,
gets him then, sure.
Well, this is the counter curse. That was actually a good job, Ryan.
He's actually going to try and get the orb, get that res on early. Of course, it's 8 ult points now, and he's just feasting. He sees the spike on Angel and is just going to press. He doesn't need any other help, and even then, his last two players of FPX are over towards B. Nimisic tries to take a peek and immediately set apart away from Hookah. Little bit of life given in for FPX, but considering the spikes on the other side of the map, really isn't much to be done here.
Patiently waiting. Predator Shao is looking for his next prey. It's going to be delivered once more on a silver platter. I'm not so sure about it, but remaining calm with the ghost is obviously a trait not many in this world have. Overall, Shao proving that even in high-pressure situations, he's able to prevail, and wrong timing on CNED could make this work, but he's still on it. The quad is secured, and who else than him might just get the ace? Will he do so? Yeah, he does, obviously. It doesn't matter which agent he plays. Surely it has been a bit of a pistol force, but it looked brilliant. And that gives them double digits already.
Yeah, maybe not the shiniest of aces for Acend and for CNED, but you'll take it. You only lose one player. I have no doubt that this is an FPX tactical timeout.
Do it.
And I do think that for this being the first full buy, the full buy of the first half was catastrophic on FPX's behalf. Not only losing it, but losing it flawlessly. I think this is a good time for FPX to kind of go, all right, reset. We kind of know what they want to do. We know roughly where they're going to play, where they're going to anchor themselves on the map. We'll avoid CNED early on because he's going to try and ruin our executions. And really trying to see if they can get some of these ults worked up rather quickly. Starzo, he has the Seekers. He's been running riot, and with a 4K in the first round even of this half, you kind of expect him to be like, all right, yep, he's got that ultimate quickly online. And CNED, one away from having a res. This is looking pretty good for Acend, but I do think this is a must-win full buy for FPX coming up.
Do you actually know why Doom Bros is called Doom Bros?
Not really.
I can tell you. Because Eric and Emil used to share PCs back then.
Oh, were they the Doom Brothers?
The Brothers of Doom. Yeah, Doom Bros.
Oh.
They share everything. I just love it. I hope once in a while we see them both on one team. But at this point,
low-key can't wait for Sandgren Bowl. because
Yeah.
they're both Emil and Eric Sandgren. I cannot wait. It's happened before, but it was a seeding match and it wasn't streamed. But that's the only time it's happened. So hopefully, Nip, I'm talking to you. Button up, get to the qualifiers next time, because imagine a qualifying game at Sandgren Bowl, one of which goes to Berlin, or maybe it's the grand final of Berlin. Who knows at this point? That's a storyline you're not going to want to miss.
I mean, they look very similar. Maybe one is replacing the other if one of them is sick, but getting away from that. CNET, aggressive stance and a reload from Demasik. That is the punishment you get if you feel too safe to swap in the magazines. And I gotta say, this is a bit of surprise to me how strong Acend has been looking so far. I expected them to be strong, don't get me wrong. The streak they have so far, it doesn't come from nowhere. But it's 10-4, and, well, FPX still need to show us something.
You know, let's see what they can do at this point. As FPX looking to probe and prod their way in over. This wall is going to make it annoying because you can wait, it delays time, or you can break it, which is a nice little alarm bell for Acend to move over to A. The rotates are already starting because that utility's coming in, and FPX not afraid to let themselves know that they're coming in onto this A site. No pressure on laps just yet. CNET's done a great job of holding it down, but Keyless takes a peek. These anti-plants have been insane, and FPX shut down with only 1 kill under their belt in this round. That's a nightmare round for FPX.
It's absolutely a meat grinder the A side has just become, and it seems like we're getting some Venus minced meat tonight. I mean, disaster again. Unfortunate for them, most likely, but the 4-to-4 called Acend just not being stopped. And you see, CNET remains ice cold. He doesn't even move. That's how cool he is. And you're trying your best. You just don't stand a chance at this point. The powerhouse called Acend. Where do you slam the brakes? You can't. There's none. Just full throttle.
11-4's the score, and another eco is required from FPX. The bank and the ultimate starting to build up for Acend, so everything is looking hunky-dory for them overall. We have seen FPX take a thrifty before, however, so it's not all doom and gloom, but there's no hero guns, so it's not needed. The Ghost does a nice job, and CNET with the res wanting to retake this space, take these fights, just make sure that it doesn't get a bit out of hand as FPX have the player advantage.
And FPX sneaking around over on lamps. They sent Demasik in. Seeks is aware though. They just left the space open, know what can be obtained, and territory claimed by Demasik. Well, let's say it like that. Smothered with his blood at this point in time. As Shadow though comes in, the pistols want to now prevail, and overcoming the force called Acend. It's not going to be that easy. They're still trying their best, but it once more seems like it will be a show of a few individuals. But as I say that, yeah, well, okay, it's only Shadow back alive. Wanted to hype that one up, but most likely won't happen, will it?
And looking to put this one to bed, be on match point, one step closer to qualifying for the EMEA playoffs. Only losing two. FPX made a good go of it overall. These walls on showers are so difficult to break because even though the Seekers came in from Shadow, even a Guiding Light, the wall, even one chunk of it broken, just narrows the sightline. It means it's difficult to take open duels where you're not just going to be fishing a barrel sprayed down from Acend, playing in on the A site. At least a full buy is here, and there is an orbital strike and an aerial theft. Very close, no theft in the hands of Demasik. Those ultimates are still handy. It looks like Keyless might be using that Viper's Pit very quickly onto this part of A. And Angel's going to try and peek him. He's managed to get a kill before in the last one, and CNET's op is out in his hands.
CNET is just absolutely annoying for those guys. I mean, individually speaking, you saw it when he was actually in the defending side, constantly pushing the boundaries, and again, a spike has been delivered. As Keyless most likely should die to the concussion. It is not happening, man. Still alive. 40 points of health, obviously not any easier.
Prepare for hellfire.
But, well, the drama continues, and as Shadow can just dodge the explosive a bit, not too much. FPX, what are you gonna do about this?
Shell's going to wait and peek slowly into the line of an operator. CNET just needs to bob it down a little bit. Just one kill, now two for Shadow. He's 20 HP and has to kill all three members. But 13-4, Acend, 1 foot in the door already for the EMEA qualifiers. And FPX looking a little bit wobbly again.
I mean, a little bit is probably a very nice way to put that. Surely it has been nothing else than the pick of Acend. Yeah, that might just make it look easy. That might just be the great kind of explanation for that. But 13-4? That's just nothing that just happens under any circumstance. And, you know, it probably Sideshow is right now pretty much already on this wonderful FPX copium, or more likely the hopium, but nevertheless, this seemed dramatic. It was really dramatic in the sense that you thought, when is FPX finding a solution to this riddle called Acend?
I mean, it wasn't their map pick, and Bind, I think it was a long time ago where FPX were really setting the pace on what to do on this map. I think Fnatic and clearly Acend have taken over on how it should be done. But at least we do go to the map pick of FPX Icebox a little later, where they do look a little bit more concrete. For Acend, they do look okay on that map. It's certainly playable, otherwise they would have banned it. But a really good look for Acend to begin with. It's been dominant results. They've not lost a map with more than 8 rounds, I think, so far in this stage of VCT. And there's another one added to that notch of terrific games that we've seen from Acend.
Absolutely. And, well, if it's going to continue on Icebox or not, we're going to find that one out. We'll just be with you in a second when we're going to see map number 2. As you mentioned, right, it's about nothing else than finding out who is going to get that slot for EMEA playoffs. So you better tune in a second.
What a game this was. We just saw Acend take down FPX on their map pick of Bind. And also, I'm back, by the way. We got rid of Mitch. I'll be here, join joined by Lothar and Jess, and so I want to bring them in now. Me and Lothar were having a little chat during that game about the presence of Sky. We saw two of them just now, right? We had Soulcast looking incredible on Sky just yesterday, and so Lothar, I know you have a bit of a piece to say on this whole Sky drama.
Yeah, hi Harry, by the way.
Yeah,
but
hey.
You know what? I was really worried about Acend coming to the bind because of the fact that, you know, typically it's CNET who is like spearheading the attacks, but Zeke and Starkso, the Polish duo, they just made it work. And something that I, you know, since the patch drop and something that I was talking about in the pre-show, Sky just became one of the most aggressive agents because of the small change in the flash. It's just absolutely insane. You see this in Soulcast, you see this in Starkso, the two Sky players that just became absolutely insanely confident in the way they play because they exactly know the timings when they go for their own place, right? You flash, you go through the wall or through the smoke, you get an easier kill. And we have seen Starkson absolutely demolish FPX in the pistol round in the second half when he stopped the plan, gets another double kill, goes with a triple, I think. And in the first, I think he had an ultimate already ready for round 2 or something. It was absolutely nuts.
I think the really important point to bring up as well about Starkso is not only the KD that represents the fact that you got to play some hardcore Sky, but I also like to see teams innovating. You got to push the boundary. You can't just keep doing what is the expected meta. Drop that, make your own play style and make it fit you, and I think they've really done that.
Yeah, 100%, right? It almost feels like we're getting like a duelist Sky becoming where she's fitting into. Also, talking of duelists for FPX, that kind of felt like maybe a bit of a problem. They lacked some of this explosiveness when it came down to these site takes, right? It meant that Acend could be pretty measured in terms of how they were approaching those holds, Lothar.
Yeah, that's exactly where I feel like the problem lied on the attack, and it was quite telling that when FPX chose the defense side, right, on bind and tried to get like as many round points as possible on defense, and they didn't get those, right? And then when they go on the attack, you have a huge problem of approaching it because you're lacking that explosiveness. You have a Shova with the dot, but apart from that, you don't really have much to fall back on, right? There's no running back from Phoenix, there's no jet dash, there's not much when it comes to like whatever will followed up on the explosions on the site, and Acend knew about that, and they knew how to hold the angles because of that, because they were not pressured enough.
Yeah, and you know, now it begs the question, like, where do we stand heading on to Icebox, which is obviously going to be the second map. We can break that down when we get back from a little break ourselves, I reckon. So we'll be back with that second map of Icebox between FPX and Acend in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
A dream last night, but I can hear what you're saying. You were shot to death last night. Where's my cup of coffee? I was dreaming something bad last night. Can't you hear what I'm saying? One gunshot, and I forgot to look at you, to look at you, to look at you, to look at you. 2 gunshots. My thoughts. We're not with you, we're not with you, we're not with you, we're not with you. You were shot to death last night, and I thought of someone else. Didn't care about your life last night, at least less than about his. All our dreams were shot to death last night. I see the clock stand still. Nightmares at your heart sometimes.
we're back with a little bit of icebox between FPX and Acend. Now, I can't wait to get into this, right? This is a good map for both of these teams. It is the map pick of FPX as we get ready to head in. Once again, joining me, I've got Lothar and Jess, and I want to keep it nice and open to begin with. Lothar, talk to me here. For an FPX recovery, what would we be looking for, in your opinion?
Well, this is the second time when I'm a little bit worried about Acend coming into the map. So if if it will follow suit of what I have seen on Bind, I think FPX won't be able to do anything. But on Icebox, FunPlus Phoenix is playing a composition that was sageless before, and in the last match against G2 they changed from Raze to Sage on Zippan, which was very much needed to be more efficient on attack because of that. And I feel like that was a very much needed change that they already needed to do, so they are a little bit more prepared coming into this match against Acend. But the problem is now they're gonna be facing, most likely, because I'm not certain that Acend was gonna pick this, but they play a double duelist on this map. Zeke and will play on Reyna most likely, and CNET on the Jet. So the signature from CNET is coming in, and this is something now you have to get into the back of your mind. The best Jet on the planet is coming on the server, right? This is something that everyone is just afraid of and is absolutely terrified. But Acend on this map, they typically don't play Sky or don't play Breach, so there's less of a follow-up or like actually not a follow-up, there's less of an initiation for CNET coming into a site. So maybe that's the saving grace for FPX, but they're getting destroyed by Acend so far, and it's because of efficiency. I feel like Acend are not playing anything super complicated. They just play well off each other. They have always a trade set up, and they just go with confidence whenever they do and execute.
I like that Lothar brings it up, but I'm going to have to cut you off there, Harry, because I don't necessarily agree to the nth degree. And the reason I don't is that there is weakness in the side of FPX when we go to Icebox. I know I said at the beginning of the show, you weren't here, Harry, but I did say that the one kryptonite I feel FPX has is Guild, right? So you're looking at Guild, they consistently just smash them. That's okay. But for me, I know when they last played that Icebox and had a loss on it, it was against Guild. It was a close matchup. But if you look at the side of Acend, the past couple of times they've played it in the past few months, they've done really good showings on it. It was against BDS, they 13-5'd them, and if you look at the one before that, it was against Giants, and they 13-4'd them. They have a really good record, especially recent, and I feel it's important that we refer to the recent form of these teams on this map, because that's where I'm going to be putting my little prediction. I know I said at the beginning, you weren't here, Harry, but I put the 2-1. Now I'm feeling like it's a 2-0. The smashing on the map one, I got to change my prediction. I don't think production's going to let me, but I got to change it.
No, I like that, right? Getting ahead of it, already admitting, yeah, production might not be fine with it, but it's happening. I like that. It's stern, Jess. Yeah, no, that's the thing. You talk about recent form. Well, Acend have been on a tear lately. They're on like a 10-series winning streak, for crying out loud. So I can imagine that their stats are looking pretty, pretty. Yeah, I am interested as well, because Lothar touched upon how, there isn't normally a Sky in this composition. I'm interested to see, because it feels like the agent pool is somewhat set in stone. There isn't like a lot of variance in that regard. So I wonder if we do see any risks, or if they do just go back to like the tried and tested team comps here. Do you think we're going to get to see much kind of innovation today, Lothar? Or do you just stick with what you know?
If there's going to be a lot of changes coming into the compositions here on Icebox, I feel like it's going to come from Acend, not from FPX. FPX seems to be like just sticking to what they know. They made that one change from the Raze to Sage, and I feel like that's where they stop. But because of Zeke's very deep agent pool, I feel like maybe he will not play the Reyna. And I would really love to see that, because Reyna is just such a, well, let's say, selfish agent, right? If the player on the Reyna doesn't really pop off, he doesn't really get a lot of value for the team. But when the player plays on something else, let's say we're gonna have Stux on Sky back, right? Because on Icebox he's playing Sova. That would be, I think, a beneficial of change for Acend. But this is just me talking and fear crafting, because we don't have the direct contact to the team and asking them, oh, what are you gonna do, and so on. But I would really love to see like not just two duelists on this map for Acend. I feel like they're playing so well off each other when they have a little bit more utility and they know how to like pressure the opponents. And they had so much of that on Bind, right? When they have Reyna on Icebox, I feel like there's gonna be a little bit less pressure on their opponents than there typically is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's one of these things where with Arena, as you say, if you're, you know, she's great at snowballing, right? It's like if things are going right, you're able to build into the game. But unlike, for example, a Killjoy, a Sky, you know, you struggle to have really any impact if you're not finding success because her abilities are just kill driven for the most part, right? So yeah, no, I do think that's an interesting little bit of theory craft in there, Lothar. I like getting you to theory craft, man. I think you've got he's got the eye for it, and you can tell that he's got all the receipts to back it up. So yeah, as we get ready to head in, I know that we've had Jess flip flop on her prediction. Lothar, very are you looking to change yours, or are you still content?
Well, it's still Acend for me, but it's swapped, you know, from the 51-49 to a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I think we've all been blown away, especially with the events of Bind just moments ago. We got Agent Select ready, so we don't have to theory craft anymore. We will know who's playing what. Let's get into this now. You got Acend over on the right-hand side, FPX on the left. Y'all can read. I trust that. And let's see, do we have any surprises?
So far, not really. Like everything looks exactly like in the past for those teams. Yeah, there's the Reyna on Zeke, Demasig on the Cypher. So those are the signature picks so far for Icebox. So no big surprises, no meta changes right now. Fortunately for FPX, I'm very happy about that. There is the stage that didn't go back to the raids, so they have an easier time to attack on this map. Otherwise, there would have been really big problems for them to plant on the B side.
I think also to point out is that I kept saying in the pre-desk to Mitch when he's here, don't change what ain't broke. And the particular composition that we saw coming out against BDS, against Giants, etc. from Acend is this exact composition. Don't change it. It works, boys, and it might bring you a 2-0.
No, couldn't agree more. Well, tell you what, let's watch it then. Let's throw this one over to Zesh and Co. Break this one down for us. Give us a great game. I've missed you, Zesh, buddy, by the way.
Harry, listen, no worries. I'll get you a great Bahn card. Deutsche Bahn is going to get you anywhere, anytime. You don't need to worry. Mitch is not going to get you in any horrible traps anymore. I got you, brother. But obviously, who's also got us now is FPX and Acend, because it's time to get some excellent action over there. On Icebox, it's going to get ice cold, and maybe the Finn Bone Cold is the perfect individual for something like that. It's time to hop in it.
Yeah, we see some jet action finally from these players, and Acend, before he can even finish talking in the first 5 seconds, he takes the dome off of Angel.
Oh, no.
Shao, he was the interesting one, never played jet in an official, I think, ever, for neither FPX nor Party Pirates, the team he was on beforehand. He had a terrific result up against G2 earlier this week. But now he's up against probably the best jet in the world. Sorry, Tens. But right now, Acend is finding those kills. Zeke is going to play off of it. The double duelist is going to be scary, but Shadow redeems himself from the last series where he didn't quite have the same impact as Starzo. He's broken this down, and Acend needs to find a place where he can plant the spike.
No. Oh, he was dodging the bullets, and suddenly this is happening. Bone Cold, unfortunately, is whiffing. And this now leads to Acend making a drastic switch of places. Over to the B side it goes. And the poor man will not be able to heal himself. And it looked so promising until Shadow showed that he can come from the shadows and turn things around massively. 2 headshots, though. This is what Acend is looking for. The round that is obviously pretty much done and dusted can still turn around. We know that this man is just pulling the rabbit out of the head any day. Magic performances like Copperfield definitely come from this guy, and as he hears all the stabs, they don't know where he's coming from, and the tension is building. Finds the first. Does he also get the one? No, he doesn't know what's happening. Over on his right hand side, does he get Shao? No, he doesn't. He's still taking that one home, and you see the cheers on the right hand side for FPX.
It was super close. It should have been clean for FPX in a 2 versus 1 up against a player that was down to 24 HP. You can never really write Acend off. Both Shao and Acend showing up where it matters. The duelists leading the line so far on kills. But I think at this point as well, considering how low down the numbers got for FPX, might be worth a force up for Acend. You planted the spike. It was just Xiao left. He doesn't have any armor. It's worth a pop, I think, honestly. But it was good play from Xiao. The force buy isn't really up for debate for the majority of Acend, but we do see a rogue vandal in the hands of Zeke.
A lovely approach, that hero vandal, but it's immediately taken out of the game. Zeke's gonna say bye-bye. Thank you for the rifle, CNET says. Or, well, he's giving it over to Starks. A very understandable decision, but, well, he's gonna lurk around in the corner. He's not even getting one of those. It's Sippin who's capitalizing on all the players pushing in. At least Starks is getting one, but how much more is he able to get out of this? Nothing. Well, those walls are paper thin, and the bullets are coming for it any second. And well, once more, it's time to see the sheriff in town perform as usual. CNET still didn't get any damage on himself.
Gonna back up a little bit. This round maybe a bit harder to clutch out. We can't even attempt to get the one. But a nice hold, an instant response from FPX just to make sure that Acend can't have the same kind of start as the first round. But now the full buy's coming in. I'm curious on what Zeke is going to be able to afford considering he bought up on the Vandal. He might still be okay considering. We'll have to see when it comes up. I really wasn't that upset at FPX for losing that dominantly on Bind. I feel that's more a testament to how good Acend are other than FPX, you know, choking or underperforming. I think just that this Acend team is built differently. And I think that FPX on this map, albeit whilst they lost to Guild, like Jess mentioned, a win over G2 is quite difficult to do, and obviously they've changed stuff up. Xiao on the Jet is a really interesting linchpin. An Angel with a Guardian. I just want to keep making a Guardian Angel joke, but at this point he's running riot.
Well, you keep on. You will never stop with those jokes, but I very much enjoyed them. That was a bit of a team flash. Zeke nearly had it, but obviously Starks is going to come in. The man's having an absolute brilliant day so far, but Xiao's even blind finds him. But do they have Starks on the radar? Surely they know he's around, but where exactly? Not necessarily. And once more, one running into his crosshair. That would at least demolish the economy slightly. 2 more bullets in the mag. Left, right, and center. They come at him.
Just as we saw Acend dominantly taking the first 3 maps, it's kind of the same from FPX. It seems that these really have their built-in home ground maps, so to speak. I think that was definitely a collateral with the Guardian. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but obviously the aim punch on that gun going through bodies or going through walls is incredibly high. And also the pick rate of that gun overall has gone up a huge amount, which is nice to see. I know the devs have always been toiling on how can we get people to pick up this weaker gun, which also has a bit of a unique flaw. Well, Angel, he doesn't need to buy up. He's still going to have it in hand. He's going to play a bit more passively on the B side because Dimisic has his camera in place. And Xiao's going to go walkabouts, but Zeke knows he's going to maybe attempt something of that ilk. The follow-up for Dimisic might actually catch him out.
No, that's not that easy against Zeke. The awareness of this lad is just bada book. I'm absolutely enjoying that, and Zeke is going further. But there you go. It seems like you pretty much made it possible that Angel is picking up this weapon due to your wordplay here, Ryan. And well, let's say it like that. I very much enjoy it.
I don't think he'll mind as much, really. I think he's more busy focused on the series overall. That's been nice to see FPX perform a lot better. I think the series against Guild was a really interesting one. Guild's icebox is even better. I don't think it's as cut as dry, black and white as one team good, one team bad. There's multiple layers on how they play these rounds. And FPX, clearly their icebox is good. Still winnable overall for Acend. They're playing in for the post plant. And now just up to Starzo. The Seekers is giving away his position, and he is being pressed by FPX a little bit. But now they're going to attempt to defuse. Zipan is on a bit of a wider angle and holds down the fort whilst Angel could get in a defuse. The 2 Russian players, or the 2 CIS players even, apologies, coming in and doing relative work to bring FPX up to 4-0.
So far, bada book. It feels very much like it could be one of those instructional videos by Riot at this point in time. But it's just solid stuff we're seeing out of them, really. As you said, they're pressing them on the issues. And Acend, well, it feels a lot like what FPX does is whenever they just obtain control, even get the spike down, they just know those tiny little changes they need to make. I mean, it's as simple as that as jumping on a Sage wall. and just being, you know, 6 feet taller than you, just shooting downwards. It seems like they just don't seem to expect those moves that much, which, well, FPX is just well-trained on this map, and as they are so well-trained, it's still CNET, who's a well-trained killing machine, at least finds Xiao. It's still not done yet. The first round for Acend, definitely need that now.
Yeah, the way that FPX are reacting to everything Acend are doing, Acend aren't just hitting A multiple times like some teams tend to do on this map. They are trying to play mid. We saw Zeke do it last round. Obviously a B plant last round as well, and potentially here, as that's the direction that Bone Cold is trying to lead on. But FPX, they aren't over-rotating. Angel's going to keep an eye on it. He doesn't have his toxic screen over here, but he does have that poison cloud. That's all the information he needs, but maybe wasn't expecting Bone Cold to be on such a deep angle over by yellow. But luckily, Bone Cold backs out. They're playing incredibly turtled because they're on these weaker guns. But FPX, all 5 players alive, they're going in.
They are going in indeed. Demasik, it's going to be held up from going any further, but Stark so low HP, obviously a bullet to the chest is going to take this man out of the fight, and they just keep on going. That is the battalion arriving. FPX with the 5th. This is what a lead. This is a wonderful lead. This is an excellent lead, and this is exactly what they were looking for. Well, shaky on binds, whatever, not their pick. Just shrug it off. It doesn't matter. This is the FPX we know.
It's a shiny FPX. And whilst we can, you know, fawn over Xiao, I think what's really good, and this happened with G2 yesterday overall, is that whilst Xiao was the one that was maybe getting the attention because he's playing a new agent that a lot of people like to watch, Zipan plays off of it really well on the Sage. It's a nice multi-kill here, padding the stats maybe going up against those weaker guns. But seeing both Xiao and Zipan unlock each other is very similar to how Durka and Doma work on Fnatic. Both of them are able to thrive. It's not a case of if one pops off, the other one isn't really in the server. This is a nice little connection, I suppose, for FPX. The synergy is there, but so is the attacking up on CNED.
Yeah, Acend feel just a little bit bogged down at this point in time. It's so many different inputs that just don't work, and well, Shadow again, the slightest angle over the edge that makes it work. Zeke knows, gains information, but gets eliminated in the process. Once more, HP-wise, it's not looking great. And well, manpower-wise, even worse. 3 versus 2, where FPX even got the blades out, which should now work by the books. As Starkso puts in a bit of information, it immediately gets eliminated. That dart is gone. Starkso should be gone as well, and so it's another round brought home. I mean, what's the antidote here? What is it that Acend needs? Because it seems every single time it's slight mistakes. You saw the Viper wall going up, and that was the entry frag for Acend, because I think it was Shadow having a slight, but just seeing millimeters off their head, finding the entry. And suddenly, man disadvantage, it's just getting worse. That's unfortunate.
It's most likely a timeout for Acend, seeing as they're 0-6 down, but with FPX, you just genuinely do not know sometimes. Like I said, they want to make use of it. Now that it's sort of officially in the game as a timeout, it's a good asset for the coaches to have, as well as their coach slots. We have come a long way in the scene, double elimination, coach slots, tactical timeouts in-game like this. And it really does mean that for European fans, we've got the best of the region going into Berlin to maybe get a bit of revenge on those North American folk. They got their qualifiers starting up again, I think, today as well, on this channel, right? A little bit later, potentially. But obviously, we have a few more games to go on the European side, and with Acend and FPX fighting out here, fighting for a spot for qualifications in the EMEA. Acend with a timeout, MBS probably trying to work out himself what you mentioned, what is going wrong. I think CNED got a bit overstepped the boundaries of what was safe with the operator, because they didn't clear the back of, I guess, kitchen, the back of the B site hallway up on the rafters. Shadow was there lurking, and an easy kill when he's up against a jet scoped in on the op isn't really looking in his direction.
Well, the interesting part, obviously, the big difference between the Acend and FPX is also the IGL style they have. While Spone Cold obviously replaced Coldamenta in that position, it's still that they have a more open leading style, you could say. And, well, the total opposite is probably something you could say about FPX. With Angel micromanaging from time to time when he's dead, really like giving clear instructions to this, to that. That's something obviously that's very helpful, because once you get micromanaged, you can just play. Just click heads, and sometimes that's just a strength of a team like FPX.
Just click heads. Makes me think that if we do go to the third map of Haven, what that'll be like. Because like we mentioned on Bind, this map, Bind, it's very much built on the mind games, the rotations, trying to play in cheeky areas and play with misinformation. But Dimasic, he doesn't fall for misinformation. He goes to grab it himself, and he gets everything he needs. A nice 2k, and he takes a sliver of damage, still has armor. And Zeke with a response in mid is going to be met by Angel. Zeke's going to keep pressing, and FPX now just shutting down everything that Acend are looking to try and do.
Everybody who's just coming in their way, eliminated. Keyless is trying his best. It is the 7th. Well, no big surprise at this point in time. It seems like we just might go that way.
I do have a concern, though. Like, FPX could tend to the defense here. Well, we saw it yesterday with Liquid and BDS. I think that Ascend's defense could be really strong. We failed to see FPX pulling through. That's my prediction, at least. So, even though FPX are taking a dominant lead so far, and they're doing it in nice style, they want to make sure that they can up those rounds as much as possible, because Ascend's defense might be a little bit better overall. At least now they have full buys. They have some big ultimates that they haven't really had the chance to use. The Viper's Pit, if they can get onto a site, get a plant in, might be able to aid them against these exceptional retakes from FPX.
I mean, the matter of fact that Xiao is getting such room, it's absolutely nasty. Zeke, though, is coming back. Acend desperately need those rounds, and well, those is a very nice term. The first they definitely need. Xiao's having none of that. Please leave the site. Well, sure thing. Have a nice day, mate. Seen it's obviously leaving. Uncle got a bit of control of that. Well, he's looking for the tripwire desperately. Puts up a simple wall, gets himself that one up, and now the rotation's gonna come in. Are they gonna be that fast? Nope, it's still the annoying snake bite coming down as though Dimasic whiffs. It's information that has been gained, and well, that's that 2 versus 4. Still something that I could see working here with Angel and Xiao.
Yeah, it's how they really adapt with this information, because they're doing things carefully. The toxic screen on B is going to keep the attention of Angel quite consistently, but now he's on a nice spot if anybody decides to push him. The operator's still there. The Sage Wall for Keyless hasn't gone down. This is a great chance for Angel to keep pushing, but Bone Cold finds himself on a nice angle. Now, Xiao, question is, do you go for this or save the operator? The money's going to be good considering, well, you're 7-0 up. So it doesn't really matter that you lose the gun in the end, but finally Acend get off the board. They hit the site hard. Bone Cold plays terrifically, not only to bait over towards B with a toxic screen, but also a nice kill onto Angel on the A site.
This kind of room, he's just able to obtain is crazy. I love his facial expression when he shoots. It's like he's a little scared. At that point in time he shoots, it feels the recoil of the weapon. But he's making it work, and this is the crucial part. FPX surely have lost the first. I mean, that happens from time to time, but again, the kind of rotations you see Xiao just being present everywhere around the map, now swapped it over to B, something we've seen, by the way, yesterday very often against G2. And here's the pit. So,
ooh, I like this.
No A side for you.
Because the Viper's Pit over is in A. Xiao hasn't really played B all that much on this defense, I don't think. So that's why he's moved over from A on the rafters, the common position where you see an up. Just because the Viper's Pit should do its job. Saying that, though, there are 4 members of Acend waiting to get through. They have a Viper's Pit of their own. That's probably why they're leaning more towards this A site. Much easier to hold off of a retake when you have your own attacking Viper's Pit. And also with Zeke with that Empress, they might just go in guns blazing, but they decide and opt against it. It's a good amount of time wasted. FPX drawing out 40 seconds at least on this round, and now Acend are about to rotate into the operator.
It's a meat grinder at this point. He's not even going for body level anymore. It's just purely headshots. And great stuff about Xiao is, at that point in time, got himself the entry and moves backwards. He's taken a bit of mid control until somebody else has taken that over, and now he realizes what's coming towards him. But obviously, Xiao is someone in the safe spot, though he's whiffing. Now escapes again, hopes for reinforcements. They're coming over.
Okay.
The no-scope from Xiao is going to open it up again, but finally his time has come, or more likely it has expired. Brilliant stuff, though. He's once more delaying it, and also casualties on the side of Acend. Just a little bit too much at that point in time. Working around the pit. This is what they still try to do. The wall is going to go up at that point in time. And as Bone Cold falls,
it's going down.
It's down. And no more vision. And suddenly, as they had the advantage with blocking it, it's still going their way though. Ascend still have the Imasic to find, and it could be the clutch of the Sentinel. Works with one. CNET knows that this is far in the open. He's trying to bait it. Goes for the fake once in a while. He knows where he's standing. Is he gonna find him? He does! And FPX bring it home. It should be enough time-wise. That's gonna work easily.
That is a hell of a retake. Dimasic manages to clutch out in a 1 versus 2. He shuts this one down, and that's a tough one to lose if you're Ascend. It seemed to all be going well. The Viper's pit there, and Shao going down early in the round for the most part too. But it all falls into FPX's trap. They really deter him away from the A site, and Angel finds that kill onto Bone Cold. Does die shortly afterwards to the operator, but he's done his job. The rest is up for Dimasic, the recent addition of FPX way back in January. I think people are now starting to see, along with the Phoenix that he played over on Ascent the other day, just what he can bring to the table.
I just hope this is not breaking the mentality of Ascend at this point in time. It would be such a shame seeing that. It's just disaster, obviously. It's crazy how many rounds they have lost and in which fashion some of them, but doesn't change the matter of fact that they still can come back quite well with this, and this time they take a lot of room towards mid. They leave that position unguarded. Zippin could be still on it to find a little more, and definitely is. The double is not secured though. And as Bone Cold comes in from behind, the flank has worked brilliantly. FPX have pretty much left A now unguarded.
One hiding.
Neurofifth is going to show where these Ascend players are playing from. That information needs to be acted on soon, because slowly but surely Ascend are just going to back up. They've got a lot of post-plant utility. Spike isn't in default, which could be a bit more problematic, like that Poison Cloud I think was on the high ground, or a Snakebite just sort of misses. But Shao now coming to try and open this up. Angel plays in.
Not again.
And I really, like, now we're starting to see Ascend be a bit more wobbly. Like, even the post-plant utility, a Snakebite going into the corner to check it. It was relatively easy for FPX to just be able to clear out all of those players, and the confidence is oozing from these FPX guys.
And I have to say, this very bellicose approach we have seen from Ascend right there. It was a very nice approach, the kind of movement they've done, going over mid. Nobody was really paying attention to it, right? And they made it work with that. So great. They absolutely pincered them. The A side belongs to them. But afterwards, it feels like sometimes pressure is getting to them, but not to a degree where I would say this pressure would get to them as well when they were, for example, on a winning streak or something. It just feels like they really start to feel the problems much more when they're on the brink of losing. And, well, this is what they pretty much are on this map.
You see that where the operator is going to try and lead the line. It's very difficult to do so. Really, it seems to just let this player play, see what they can do. The Lear is going to at least try and create an opening. They managed to make their way through to yellow, pretty much unharmed. Dimasic trying to spray through, break the wall, or at least maybe get a kill, but the recon dart is a really nice one to get that information in. Fortunately now for FPX, they have to play a bit more set back. I love this wall now because Shao doesn't really have a good shot in to clear, even towards the back of it CT. He's going to try and see if he can get something in that little gap that was left, but Zeke is sat on the other side waiting.
It would be number 10. Double digits that FPX could already obtain. The two-man disadvantage and Shao whiffing the shots. It should make it pretty much impossible. As I say that, Shadow spray control, unfortunately for him, not on point. Another sign of life finally coming in. Well, there it is. Exactly what has been needed. 3 rounds is something you can work off of. It's definitely not ideal, don't get me wrong. But, well, Icebox can work on the defender side quite well, and you know, percentage wise it is something that is decent for Ascend. Not perfect, but definitely decent.
Do you know what score I'm predicting is going to end as?
Tell me.
I reckon 13-10. I think it's going to be the exact same as that guild game on Bind, where whilst there's a dominant half there for FPX, potentially 10-2, 9-3, I don't think it's going to be a 13-4 or whatever it was on Bind up against Ascend here. I think really as well, when you've seen it on the operator on the defensive icebox, then yeah, that's very difficult to uproot. That's certainly difficult to kill overall. And I love the fact that if you look at Shadow, you can see when he goes into some Viper's utility because his face just goes bright green. Yeah.
I love those face cams.
I'll point it out when it happens next.
Go ahead, and well, then we're going to see a bright green face, but Shao is whiffing a few shots by now. The last few rounds didn't go according to plan for him. As usually The world-class Sova has, well, swapped classes for this, and Acend got all the control over this fortress. Nothing, the slightest besiege tool should make it possible to take that B side. As though Sippin is on it, already drum and bass play. Let's just tune to the max. Get the revive still going. He doesn't care. There's the revive. CNED whiffing the shot, but it doesn't change the matter of fact that Shadow is obviously chanceless.
Nice end for the round for Acend, but the half overall, maybe not quite as convincing. Now they get to defend. Pistols, I think, are a requirement before you put FPX up to nearly match point. If you are just joining us, Acend are 1-0 up in the series, so we would go to the full best of 3, the third map on Haven, if FPX can close it out. But I do think that CNED certainly on the Jet is going to have a lot to say about that overall. The strategy for FPX wasn't particularly groundbreaking. They didn't really reinvent themselves on this map, not unlike Acend with the Phoenix pick on Dimisic. But Acend just didn't have an answer for it. And this Shell Jet, it's very hard to have an answer for anyway, so we'll see how he can do on the attack.
Well, FPX so far today, they haven't won a single pistol round. And obviously with the scoreline we saw previously, not a big surprise, to be frank. Poor Seek should just be ending in the grave very soon, and that is already happening. Absolutely obliterated, as first he got rabies and then the bullet in the chest. Horrible scenario for him. But the wall going up should allow them to get that very simple bomb plant. As I say that, obviously it's laser-like accuracy coming in from CNED. The slightest gap in the wall is allowing him to have a great vision over on Angel. Still needs to do the magic dance. It is not happening, and the belay of the death-defying acrobat is leading to his death. Shadow and Dimisic got the chance, don't get me wrong, but he needs to be by the book from Shadow. By the book, I call it. Well, not happening this time around. Acend are coming back. Well, Ryan, here you go. 14-10, you said?
We'll see how it goes. I think that was a good round for Acend. It was a little bit scary. Usually you don't want to see, certainly on the pistol, that Sage Wall go up on the attack. Much harder to break. But it was a job that Stazo instantly got to work on at a shock dart just to delay the plant a little bit longer. And CNED really making use of this little gap. I don't think it was intentional, but it works out anyway. Gets that first kill on the opening, and really looking at the mini-map here for a second, FPX, there were no flanks. There wasn't really any creative plays you can make in that position. It's just hold on to your butts behind yellow and hope that you can win a duel. But they are forcing. They are forcing here.
Well, they want to take this one home, and that with, well, maximum speed, very obviously, as they already go for mid and obtain control over to the B side to some degree. Blinko's not sure what's happening here. Hold on, Shao got that plant down, but not only that, Shadow's flank is going to eliminate him easily. It seems like the side of FPX might just make perfect work with this force, but as I say that, all collapsing. Left, right, and center, nobody seems to stay alive, and 15 HP on Shadow, it's not going to make it much easier for him.
Do you know what's funny about that play as well, like the dashing through mid? I think some people held it to a testament of the new Vision Strikers because they did that recently. But actually, this play comes way out from Ninjas in Pajamas. Eric just took it from his brother.
Can I copy your homework?
Didn't quite work, so I think Eric is going to have words with him. He'll just be like, it doesn't work, but it was worth a try. The problem is now is the economy is going to be purely broken for FPX, and for Acend, a bit more of a momentum that they can build. Buffer up that money. That's what they did exceptionally well on Bind, and it was a gamble for FPX that just didn't pay off. They really didn't do all that much damage, and as you see in Acend, still holding on to the guns that they had before. 4 Spectres, a Marshal, and really even a CNED with a Marshal might seem like a little nerf to him over the Operator, but it can still be pretty potent.
So far, the salient FPX is remaining somewhat silent. They made a lot of noise in the first half, but obviously with the Force now coming in with this weaponry is not going to make it much easier. No real control obtained as they leave Dimisic over to find something on B when the time is right. And, well, they know about each other. That's at least something. But you see it right here. FPX all split, all in different positions, waiting it out. Well, so far, all the silence.
Eli's going for a bit of a push, bit of a fight. The shock dart manages to break the bit of a timing and finds a little gap in for the fights to get onto Angel. Seeded with his Marshall, we said he can be scary. He knows that there's one over there, sees the trailing shots from Zipan. And Zeke is going to go hunt, he's going to go kill. It's a 6th round for Acend. FPX, they had a dominant lead to begin with, but it could soon slide out of their hands. They haven't won a round on this attack yet. And on their attack of bind is where they really lacked behind. So yeah, I feel that it's becoming more and more potentially for Acend to sneak this one on Icebox if FPX can't get their act together.
And that's the thing, getting your act together is something that is so mandatory for FPX. This is why they put the break in. It's a team that is still looking for this big trophy. I think the storyline is... It feels like the storyline is older than the game itself, but this team is still looking for this shiny, golden, 6 feet tall trophy for their cabinet.
Is there an actual trophy anywhere that's 6 feet tall?
100%. There must be a trophy in this world that is 6 feet tall.
Well, we haven't seen what the Champions trophy looks like yet.
See?
Masters 1, Masters 2 one looked like a really cool USB stick, but that didn't go to Europe. They didn't go to any of these teams. These two teams weren't even there. They didn't even get that far. Acend dropped out humiliatingly early, I think, against Vitality, not even making EMEA playoffs. And well, FPX, he added a couple more points to their clutch card, their choke card even, the other one. And they lost out to both Team Liquid and Gambit very late on in the EMEA playoffs. Points are still good for both of these guys. Acend winning Masters 1 have 100 points. I don't know where that places them overall in the standings, but maybe even just get into Berlin puts them in an instant qualifying spot for Champions. So if they could just book their place into EMEA, more time to prep for that, I suppose.
And that's the crazy thing, right? Acend is just 7 rounds away from doing that. EMEA playoffs are just basically around the corner for them. Starkso gains a little bit of information, or tries to at least, over towards middle. Nothing seems to be appearing in front of his Owl drone. Preparing once more for an A-side hit. This is what it seems to be. Once more silence around the server.
As of right now, Acend are 5th in points. 100, Fubalist, Gambit, Liquid, and Fnatic are only above them. FPX, well, they have to do pretty well in this tournament, otherwise they might not even make the last chance qualifiers in Stage 3. Imagine that.
That's wild.
That would be a big loss. And Acend is already making FPX worry enough. Let's not add that little narrative point on top of it, because all of these fights now FPX are starting to win. Could be their first round of this attack so far, and they're putting in a lot of pressure towards A. Seekers, however, well, one of them is going for the wraparound, which could catch on to this Viper. Bone Cold could have his position given up, and Angel, whilst he takes the peak, takes the majority of damage but catches him on the back. That Seekers is nice, but there's so little time to get this spike planted.
They gotta run, and if there's a single obstacle, then I would start to worry, but it seems like there is no obstacle. No worries. Starkso is going to head off and take in that operator with him. It's not 5 grand anymore, 4.7, but those 300 credits, it's not a crazy change, considering that it's overall costly. Well, Demon 6 out, but that should be pretty much it.
You gotta thank Shadow Seekers there, just to find the opening, find the inning, and Bone Cold, when there's so little time on the clock, you don't want to really give FPX the incentive to head to your map. And Starzo finds 2 operators on the ground, hides one of them, because even if he does die, he doesn't want FPX to run double operator on the attack. I mean, if you do that, you might be a psychopath, but it might just work out overall. But Starzo, Angel's gonna come hunting. I mean, forget about CNED, but Starzo has been one of my favorite players to watch that maybe potentially just doesn't get the credit. Acend, so many people are like, oh, Acend are just CNED popping off and everybody else is getting carried. It is a gross misrepresentation on how well his team sets up not only CNED but Zeke to get those kills. And I think Starzo might be one of the best initiators in Europe, and his name isn't spoken about enough, frankly.
I'd sign that any day of the week. It also, yesterday against Rix, it wasn't one individual popping off massively. It was basically all of them performing pretty much on the same level. And I think this is what makes a team so great. Obviously, you need to see that popping off with the 30 bombs from time to time. Don't get me wrong, but it still doesn't change the matter of fact that a well-rounded team with no massive weak links is something that is definitely something you should look out for. And Acend, well, it's not too many chances they have left, at least for this map.
You said stuff to look out for. This mid push, especially with the operator, is an interesting play from Acend, but it gets to a point where diminishing returns, the amount of risk versus reward, it's a bit too high. There's other places on the map that you want to keep an eye on. The Trailblazer's going to find information on Acend. So now Starzo needs to come in and try and help out and be a savior. And Angel could have potentially got him through his own toxic cloud. As Dimasic finds an opening, this is what he's so good on. This is why he was put on Phoenix on Ascent the other day, because he can go off on his own, find the kill, and now him alone is holding 2 players over on his B site whilst the rest of FPX are head in A.
Toxin screen down.
Angel's wall is going to go down, and at one point in time, they realize nothing is awaiting them over on the B side, and this is where Angel strikes. Starso waiting backside is not going to really find too much at that point. Still goes in, can't get anything out of that. And it's FPX who seem to prevail, except it's some CNET action, and we're talking about CNET action. Surely he's the one to always look out for, but he can't have all corners checked. Man doesn't have free heads, checking left, right, and center. That's not happening. FPX will get that 11th, coming closer to map number 3. And look at Shadow. He's coming from green to red.
yeah. Now's a good chance to really watch it and appreciate it. I think as well, what's funny, like from watching the player cams, when Zeke uses his Empress ultimate, his room just goes so dark because of the lighting change. It's so funny. But it's not a laughing matter now for Ascend. They were starting to make it a bit more competitive and close up, but FPX looking good. Problem here, like CNED going for this is a real CNED move, but look how Shao just quickly peeks around this corner. We need to kill him before he kills all of us, because he will. That's the second time out for Ascend on this map, and understandable really, as the last 2 have been all FPX.
There's a timeout coming from Ascent, so it feels like it's a little late. But as you mentioned, Ryan, you know, if there's not 2 timeouts from the Sentgrant brothers, or one of them at least, it would be a surprise. So far, we only got 1 of them. But on a serious note, at that point in time, the pugnacious approach we had from Ascent previously, where they continuously were looking for duels, were specifically on the defensive bind. You saw CNET push it again and again and taking those fights, pretty much putting those fights close to him, not the other way around, letting them come at him. It's something that just has been turned around massively. FPX just seem overall way more well-rounded when it comes down to this map, and it seems to be a thing about understanding what means what and what kind of consequence is on it with this specific battleground. And this is the thing. This is why we have map picks. It's not too much of a surprise that FPX is feeling comfortable over here.
Yeah, no surprise at all.
Poison orb emitting.
They wanted to play it. They've clearly been working on it. Doing it in real time as well. Shao isn't something that they sat on for a while on the jet and refused to show face. It was literally just a bit of plug and play, and seeing that it worked out so well, and has it worked out so well, Shao is reliving the times where he's been on the duelist, because for the majority of FPX's lifespan, he's been on the Sova, and now Dimasic finding those timings, maybe catching on to the jet, but can't get Jet, the Sage of Keyless, and CNED, the up on this defense, holding down the fort.
But there it goes, the killing machine from Turkey striking with full force. Darso is also joining the party with his Hunter's Fury. But Shao got the reply, and as you mentioned, mostly was more in a supportive role with playing Sova. That does mean he doesn't have the quality of a duelist. And Dimasic, even if he's Sentinel, he also has this quality. Sees both players back there in the middle, and might be just so useful. Starkso still strikes, and as Shao is patiently waiting, there comes the bullet. Doesn't have a chance. 7 to 11. Well, it's still a long road for Ascent. Surely they took the break. Maybe that got them a little bit of an advantage in this, but that's one hell of a streak you gotta come up with now.
Yeah, good time of a tactical timeout for Ascend, as they're able to have that instant response. And really, FPX maybe not over relied on their ultimates, but their ultimates really helped them get those 2 rounds that they've managed to get on their attack, because now it's going to be tough to break. The money is looking to potentially break sometime soon as well for FPX, so they really don't want to leave it too close. There's the Blade Storm in the hands of Shao. Everybody else is trying to get their ultimates as soon as possible. Zipan very close to having a resurrect, but Zeke takes him out. He has the res, but Zipan's not going to be a part of the round any longer.
One of the problems ensue for FPX at this point. The mid control they try to obtain, which they very much do. Seeing that it's one of the worst timings he could have ever asked for. And obviously this has opened up a lot of room, and pressure's now getting a bit bigger on Acend. This is an operator gone. The duelist also vanished at this point in time. Surely they still have Zeke, but now this is vital information. Acend pretty much united themselves over on middle, and the awareness is there. They know right at this point that they're all coming over to the site. Demasik needs it perfect timing, can't do that very much, but Shao is still on it. And obviously you have talked about him being a perfect sort of supporter, but there it goes. The triple comes in, goes up in the air and finds them all with the blade. Still has to be eliminated at some point, but this 2 versus 2 is winnable. Shadow is taking all the information, sees one close by to the bomb, and this means Angel's just coming in with the lineups. Not only that, the flash is there. Zeke, does he even have a chance or survival at that point in time? Will it be a clutch by the book from him? Will it or not?
Almost.
Nope, it ain't happening. It's just an absolute disaster, but not even his fault. All the utilities coming his way.
You can't forget about Shao on this jet.
Yes.
It's these kind of little tricks that maybe put FPX into a position. They're looking incredible right now, and Acend, well, he didn't have much to try and stop it. Great breakthrough from him, just finding these fights, the updraft as the wall goes down. It all comes up FPX, and now they're on match point to bring us to the full best of 3. And the money, the buy's just about there. Bone Cold running with a Sheriff. He's playing a little bit more passive, a little further back. And Acend not really wanting to overstep the map, because if FPX find this opening, they'll run with it and they'll take Icebox.
I'm a little bit bewildered at this point in time how strong FPX can be from time to time.
Oh my god.
That's not the biggest surprise. It is even how good Shao can be, but at that point in time, Brian, it's CNET who needs to deliver one-of-a-kind performance. We know he can be that hero in such scenarios, but now to get all the information, CNET flags, finds one, but not much more than that, as Shadow and Co are already entering the site, or pretty much waiting in front of the gate. The revive is here, and still, they're fighting. No real chance seems to come in. Acend have big-time issues at that point in time.
Yakila's holding on. They know pretty much where he's going to be. Tries to take the peak, wins one duel, but he has to try and heal. That's good play from Demasik to instantly catch up on the kill. Nice trade. Now Zeke with a Spectre. That's one, but instantly traded yet again. FPX are taking us all the way in the full best of 3. A great response after going down so hard on Bind. And there's one more map to go before one of these teams books their place in for the playoffs in EMEA.
It felt really, really dangerous in the beginning of this game that this would be a stomp. Still, Acend was fighting back quite decently. I very much enjoyed watching that because it felt like we might have a duel in our hands, but still it was one-sided. It doesn't change the matter of fact that it was a fun game, because this is the great part about FPX. Even if it's one-sided with them, it's always a festival of coordination, teamwork, and strategic finesse.
I'm really happy to sort of see that both these teams have strong maps, but even the winner of this is going to be a bit disappointed that they're not able to show up on the other team's picks, right? Because you need to have such a solid map pool overall. So even if FPX win this series, now winning on Haven, they're going to look back at that bind and go, we really need to try and fix this because we got dominated, and vice versa for Acend with Icebox. So I really don't know how this is going to end. It's not really the big brain map Haven. It's a lot of fragging out, catching rotations, and having really good splits on the attack. Both these teams looking really in form right now, and it's going to be a hell of a way to finish.
Absolutely, and we're going to find out if they once more restart their engine and fire on all cylinders. You shouldn't forget, though, that we're heading into a little break, and what you're going to do right now is enjoy our Song of the Week. That's Good Good from Dubdocs X Cat Dealer, so PP Jam in the chat. See you in 3 minutes.
I'm drinking this whiskey, I don't feel no pain. Fill another glass to help me get you out my brain. I don't want no numbers, names just fade away. I just want somebody, someone who will stay. So tell me that I'm good enough. Even when it's looking rough. Oh yeah, stay with me when times get tough. No fake love, don't wanna bluff. No, no. Tell me am I good, 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 good.
Break. The money is looking to potentially break sometime soon as well for FPX, so they really don't want to leave it too close. There's the Bladestorm in the hands of Shao. Everybody else is trying to get their ultimates as soon as possible. Zipan